Mary Stuart, later known as Mary, Queen of Scots, was born on December 8, 1542. Her father, James V of Scotland, died only a few days after her birth, leaving Mary as Queen of Scots at just 6 days old. Imagine a tiny baby wrapped in luxurious furs, becoming a queen before she could even focus her eyes. Scotland, in the throes of religious and political turmoil, was a difficult kingdom to rule. England, under King Edward VI, saw Mary as a pawn in their power games, seeking to control Scotland by marrying their young king to the infant queen. To protect her from English ambitions, Mary was sent to France at the age of 5. She was betrothed to the French Dauphin, Francis, in a political move designed to strengthen Scotland's position. She spent her formative years in the French court, receiving an education befitting a future queen. Surrounded by luxury and refinement, Mary blossomed into a charming and intelligent young woman, excelling in music, dancing, and languages. England, now under Queen Elizabeth I, remained wary of a potential French-Scottish alliance, setting the stage for a rivalry that would define the Elizabethan era. In 1558, Mary, at 15, married the Dauphin Francis, who became King Francis II the following year. Tragedy struck in 1560 when Francis II died unexpectedly, leaving Mary a widow at 18. With her position in France uncertain, Mary returned to Scotland in 1561, facing the daunting task of ruling a country she barely knew. Scotland, embroiled in religious strife and political intrigue, was a far cry from the sophistication of the French court. Mary, raised in luxury, now faced the challenges of a divided nation, needing all her intelligence, charm, and determination to navigate Scottish politics. Mary Stuart returned to Scotland a stranger, finding herself in the midst of religious turmoil. John Knox, a fiery Protestant reformer, had stirred many Scots against the Catholic Church. Mary, a devout Catholic, found herself at odds with a significant portion of her people. The Scottish lords, proud and fiercely independent, were not easily swayed by the charms of a young queen. These lords, with their shifting alliances and thirst for power, would prove to be both allies and thorns in Mary's side throughout her reign. Mary possessed a resilience and intelligence that belied her youth. She threw herself into her royal duties, determined to be seen as a strong and capable ruler, charming her subjects with her wit and intelligence. Yet, beneath the surface, tensions simmered as the lords watched her every move, their minds filled with ambition and suspicion. The Protestant Reformation had altered Scotland's political landscape, and Mary, as the figurehead of the Catholic faith, was a lightning rod for both devotion and animosity. In 1565, Mary agreed to marry her cousin, Henry Stuart, Lord Darnley, in an effort to bring stability to Scotland. The marriage, however, proved disastrous as Darnley was arrogant, impulsive, and prone to jealousy. The Scottish lords saw Darnley's jealousy as a way to further their own ambitions, whispering poison in his ear. In a shocking act of violence, Darnley and conspirators murdered Mary's secretary, David Rizzio, in front of her. This act shattered Mary's trust in Darnley and marked a turning point in her reign, paving the way for further tragedy and turmoil. The murder of David Rizzio left an indelible scar on Mary's soul, and the love she had for Darnley evaporated. The Scottish court became a viper's nest of accusations and recriminations, with the lords sensing weakness in Mary's position. Despite her grief, Mary used her cunning to play the game of power, feigning forgiveness while plotting her next move. She formed alliances and shored up her support, knowing the line between power and ruin was perilously thin. One wrong move could spell her downfall, and all the while she carried the weight of her unborn child. The lords, emboldened by Darnley's act, saw an opportunity to further their ambitions, using the religious divide to their advantage. In June 1566, Mary gave birth to a son, James, who would one day rule both Scotland and England. The birth of an heir should have been a joyous occasion, but the shadow of Darnley's treachery loomed large. Darnley, increasingly paranoid, became a liability, and the lords whispered that he was plotting to usurp her throne. Mary made a daring decision to flee, taking her son to safety away from her treacherous husband and the scheming lords. Under the cover of darkness, she escaped from Holyrood Palace, venturing into the unknown with her infant son. News of Darnley's death in a mysterious explosion at Kirk of Field reached Mary while she was at Dunbar Castle with Bothwell. Whispers of murder and treason spread, with many believing Bothwell responsible and accusing Mary of complicity. The line between widow and suspect blurred, fueled by the whispers of her enemies and circumstantial evidence. Whether Mary was directly involved remains a subject of historical debate, with some arguing she was a victim of circumstance. Darnley's death cast a long shadow over Mary's reign, further weakening her position and fueling rebellion. Three months after Darnley's death, Mary married James Hepburn, Earl of Bothwell, a man widely believed to have orchestrated the murder. The scandalous union outraged the Scottish lords, who rose up in rebellion, accusing Bothwell of regicide and Mary of complicity. The rebellion spread, fueled by moral outrage, political ambition, and religious fervour. Outnumbered and outmaneuvered, Mary chose to abdicate the throne in favour of her infant son James VI. Imprisoned in Loch Leven Castle, Mary was now a pawn in a dangerous game of power, her destiny hanging by a thread. The stone walls of Loch Leven Castle closed around Mary, Queen of Scots, like a tomb. She was no longer a queen, but a prisoner, stripped of her power and isolated from the outside world. Yet even in despair, Mary's spirit refused to be broken, clinging to the hope of regaining her freedom and seeing her son again. She befriended her jailers, using her charm and intelligence to win their trust, and wrote letters to her allies, pleading for help. Mary was determined to write her own ending, proving that even a caged bird could sing a song of defiance. In May 1568, after nearly a year of imprisonment, Mary's plans came to fruition. With the help of loyal supporters, she made a daring escape from Loch Leven Castle. Disguised as a laundress, Mary slipped into a waiting boat. The water lapped against the small vessel. She could feel the eyes of her pursuers upon her, but there was no turning back. Freedom lay ahead. Upon reaching the shore, she was met by loyal followers. They whisked her away to safety. She was free, but her ordeal was far from over. Scotland was no longer safe for her. Her enemies would stop at nothing to recapture her. Mary decided to seek refuge in England. It was a desperate plea for protection. Elizabeth, wary of a potential rival, could not turn away a fellow queen. Little did Mary know her flight to freedom would lead to another captivity. Mary, Queen of Scots, once a queen, now a prisoner in England, under her cousin, Queen Elizabeth I. Elizabeth feared Mary's threat to her throne, but hesitated to imprison her outright. Mary was placed under house arrest, confined to various castles. Treated with courtesy, her movements were restricted, her life no longer her own. The years of confinement took their toll on Mary. She spent her days embroidering, reading, and writing letters. Hope dwindled, replaced by weary acceptance of her fate. The year 1586 marked a turning point in Mary's long captivity. English Catholics plotted to assassinate Queen Elizabeth and install Mary. The Babington plot implicated Mary, leading to her trial. Intercepted letters by Walsingham sealed her fate. Mary was put on trial for treason in October 1586. The trial was a sham, securing a guilty verdict. Mary proclaimed her innocence, but her fate was sealed. On a cold February morning in 1587, Mary, Queen of Scots, was led from her chambers at Fotheringhay Castle to the executioner's block. Each step carried her closer to her destiny. A strange peace settled upon her. She faced her accusers with dignity, proclaimed her innocence, and accepted her fate with grace. She dressed in her finest attire, a final act of defiance. She knelt in silent prayer as the executioner approached. With a swift stroke, the axe fell. Mary, Queen of Scots, lived a life of extraordinary drama and unrelenting tragedy. Born a queen, she died a prisoner, her life a testament to the brutal realities of power. She was a complex figure, intelligent and charming, but prone to poor judgment. Her legacy is multifaceted. To her supporters, she was a martyr. To her detractors, a scheming seductress. The truth lies somewhere between. Mary was a product of her time. In the centuries since her death, Mary, Queen of Scots, has become an enduring icon. Her story told and retold in countless books, plays, films, and television shows. She is a figure who continues to fascinate and divide, her life a source of endless debate and speculation. Her tragic fate has elevated her to the status of a legend, a symbol of lost innocence, thwarted ambition, and the enduring power of the human spirit. Her story is a reminder that history is not a simple narrative of heroes and villains, but a complex tapestry woven from the threads of ambition, love, betrayal, and loss. Mary, Queen of Scots, was all of these things and more. She was a queen, a wife, a mother, a pawn in a dangerous game, and ultimately a victim of her own circumstances and the ruthlessness of those who sought to control her. Her story is a cautionary tale about the corrupting influence of power, the dangers of religious extremism, and the enduring allure of the forbidden. It is a story that continues to resonate with audiences today, centuries after her death, reminding us that the past is never truly past, and that the echoes of history continue to shape our present. Mary, Queen of Scots, left an indelible mark on the history of both Scotland and England. Her tumultuous reign, marked by political intrigue, religious strife, and personal tragedy, had a profound impact on the course of events in both nations. Her forced abdication in favour of her infant son, James VI of Scotland, paved the way for the eventual union of the Scottish and English crowns under her son's rule as James I of England. Her execution, a controversial act that sent shockwaves through Europe, solidified the Protestant Reformation in England and fueled the fires of anti-Catholic sentiment for generations to come. But perhaps Mary's most enduring legacy is her ability to transcend the boundaries of time and continue to captivate our imaginations. She is a figure who defies easy categorization, a queen who was both powerful and vulnerable, a woman who was both loved and feared, a ruler who was both a victim of circumstance and an architect of her own downfall. In death, as in life, Mary, Queen of Scots, remains an enigma, a figure shrouded in mystery and controversy, her story a reminder that even in the annals of history, some questions remain forever unanswered. Thank you for watching my video. If you liked it, please hit like and subscribe. A comment would be highly appreciated. It helps to figure out what kind of content you like and want to see in the future.